Hi everyone, I'm Angela. I'm from RAMS. We're a subcontractor with the Public Health Institute for the Lotus project, and so happy to be here in community together. I know I'm the last person, and I'll just be like 5 minutes. I do have some slides that I just wanted to share some context of where I'm coming from, and then so RAMS is a nonprofit mental health agency. Over 50 years, we're in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I wanted to give a little bit of that context because we're in the Bay Area, we're in California. We've been around for 50 years. We founded, like many nonprofits, a really grassroots effort around seeing a need for mental health services. And really, in 1974, it was around serving the Asian American community. So 50 years forward, we're now citywide. We've also reached out of our city and county. Every year we serve about 14,000 individuals, and we serve the entire lifespan. So we're in preschools, high schools, we have standalone clinics, we have vocational services, and then here we are. And also a third of our workforce is peer counselors, so those with lived experience. So just kind of segmenting kind of what I shared was clinical services. We have population-focused services. So I'll just shout out, like with Cruise is also part of Lotus project, but also part of counseling specific services for survivors of hate crimes. We're part of Coalition Building. We have an African American perinatal mental health program. We have community and workforce. So that's really the peer counseling. So those with personal experience with the mental health system, we provide a training course. We have an entry, advanced, and also we have vocational services. So everything having to do with getting a job. So from contemplating whether or not you're ready to go back into the workforce, skill building and like IT and all that. And then we also, I think one of the pillars of RAMP is really about training the next generation of providers who are culturally humble, culturally competent. Oh, and then those are some other fast facts about us. In terms of our workforce, this is kind of, you know, the pie of kind of where the types of services that we have. We have about 400 staff, full and part-time. Across our agency, we speak 30 plus languages. So we really prioritize in-language services. And I'm gonna underline what has been said before about like workforce, that there is a shortage. And so we try, you know, one of the pillars and the core of RAMS has really been about training from like the early, I think since the beginning of RAMS, and how do we continue that? Because when someone is ready to seek out services, we have to be ready and be there. So how do we do that? So one of the things about this kind of closing session is, okay, so what's next? So now what? It's been an amazing day to hear from all the different perspectives, from youth, from academia, from research, from so many community-based organizations that are doing so much work. So what do we do now? And also given the political and kind of the environment that we're in. So I wanted to share kind of just four, what I've kind of summarized in kind of four segments. One is around, you know, as an agency, with the climate that we have, what is it that we're kind of looking towards? So we look inwards and kind of what are our existing resources? What are our strengths? So we provide direct services at RAMS. We don't do a lot of policy work. We've not historically done a lot of policy work. So we definitely lean on other agencies like NAPIMA and the Health Forum and other kind of very national networks who really do have that policy eye. Public Health Institute has that policy eye. Those are the resources that we look to because we are better together, right? So they are able to kind of critically look and have an eye across the nation around how these policies impact our communities. And then together we can kind of provide the community point of view. So I just wanted to call out, there's a couple of resources that I look at. One is the National Council on Nonprofits. They have a chart. They literally have a chart of all the executive orders that have been issued and kind of the very specific impacts on nonprofits. I'm also going to shout out again to NAPIMA because they did a fact sheet on specifically what a lot of these policies that have happened, that have been issued out since January, how that's impacted the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities, citing lots of resources within that. So this was kind of a lot of kind of synthesizing a lot of the material that's out there. There's a lot of information. And then also at RAMS, because we are direct services, we primarily, we're also thinking within our organization, well, how can we keep up? Yes, there's the summary reports, but then what? Then what do we do? So I think we've been talking about forming like a policy committee who meets kind of loosely, because not one person can keep up with all of this. So that's kind of some of the response that we've had as an agency, even like when there's certain federal, we're primarily funded by our local city and county. So we're not directly funded as much with federal funding, but we know that there may be ripple effects. So I think that's kind of the things that, you know, these national organizations can really help us interpret. And then also within our agency, how do we keep tabs on all this information? There's also been other ways we've been able to build coalitions. So California has developed a Asian Health Services, which is a large health clinic. They have convened a Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Health Equity Coalition, meets regularly, has been meeting for a couple of years. And so we've kind of had this momentum where we've been together, in-person meetings too, all up and down the state, sharing ideas, also on Zoom. And so when things come up, we actually share resources. And like, even when there's California like policy changes, like, oh, so how's your county doing it? How's my county doing it? Oh, your county does that? I should tell my county. Like that, those kind of sharing of ideas, I think that is truly meaningful, because if another county is doing it, then, you know, those counties can talk to each other. I think we've also heard here around the partnerships. So public, private, and also school, university kind of partnerships too. So I think those are kind of, when I think of next steps, when I leave today, those are kind of the things that I'm thinking about. Like, how do we build those? It's always something I think we want to do, but I think now we're in a time where we need to be, we're kind of pushed to really do something about it. And then the second part is, a third part is about raising awareness. So all of these impacts that we've been having around policy, how do we share that information to our community group, our client group, those who follow us on social media, and anything, like what are the little snippets of information that we can, you know, I think earlier today it was, there was a talk about what DEI really means. You know, DEI is not just ethnic specific things, there's also, it includes women, LGBTQ, and so on. So really, how do we interpret, when there's a narrative out there that is not fully, that we can share our own narrative about that. And then I'm gonna last leave with like rest and be ready. Now I'm gonna add resiliency too, because this is a marathon. I think, you know, even it's been like 100 days, but it does feel like 100 years. It's been very long. In a very short amount of time, and we still have a ways to go. So how do we do that? Do we take care of each other? It is a roller coaster. On days I'm like, yeah, I think I'm just not going to listen to the news today, and that's okay. Yeah, we have to find different, and I think for me, it's being in community in today. And so whatever you define as your community, wherever refuels you, and within your agency, within your personal life too, your family, and then also know that it's okay, and give each other and yourselves grace. So that's it. Thank you.